What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Queen's Uplifted and Inspiring Podcast. I'm your host, your girl Queen, and I just want to say welcome back, y'all. We are in this thing another week. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So I am so excited to be back with y'all another week. Now listen, today's been a day. So I had some content prepared that we were gonna go over on today, but the Lord has shifted that. And so we about to go what God said because this is not my platform. This is the Lord's platform. And whatever he wants to say and whatever he want, he gonna have his way, okay? So let's go. The title of this episode is I Choose Me. And on this episode, I am going to share my domestic violence story. Uh Listen, I'm gonna share it with y'all, like for real. I was just scrolling on social media a little bit earlier and I seen the tape that was released from Cassie and P. Diddy. And when I seen the tape, I was so triggered. And I was like, oh my God, like why am I feeling like this, right? And God was like, you need to talk about your story. You need to share with the people because people see your life now and they see, that you're in a healthy relationship now, but they don't know your story. They don't know your past. They don't know about, your story. So I want you to open up your mouth and share your story because once I begin to share my story, it's gonna, heal me and it's gonna also heal other women and bring freedom to their lives as well. And so when I was watching that uh, that clip today, y'all, I was so triggered. I was like, oh my God, like if y'all haven't watched the clip, y'all don't need to watch it. But if y'all have, like, it's just a shame. And that was only from what we saw, right? Imagine the things that she went through behind closed doors. Like, when you read the police report, all of the stuff that they was talking about, it's a shame, man. But women, they go through so much, you know what I'm saying? And I'm kudos to Cassie for coming out, coming forward, because there are so many women that stay silent and that they don't speak about this stuff, right? Even me, God got on me because he was like, I want you to speak about this. I want you to share. And I'm like, God, I already wrote a book. I already shared it. And he's like, look, I still want you to share it. There are people that may never read your book. There are people that haven't read your book and they need to know. And so this episode, it is gonna be about that on today. And so listen, y'all, this is me allowing God to process me, allowing him to just strip me and me be naked and vulnerable, for y'all. Like for real, it's easy to hide your wounds, especially when you're no longer in that season of your life. It's easy to just forget about it, put in the back of your mind, and just keep moving. But when God wants to bring healing and freedom to his people and to his women, he'll use somebody like me to come and share my story. And here I am over here kicking and screaming. And I'm like, God, I don't want to share this. I don't want to talk about this. This is not my life no more. And I don't want to go back. And he's like, listen, I need you to share. I need you to share. And so that's what we're gonna do on today. So trigger warning, for those of y'all, I'm just letting you know, trigger warning, because it might get a little graphic, but I am gonna just share with whatever God tell me to share. Okay. So yeah. So I grew up in a very broken home, right? I grew up in a house with just women. It was my mom, my great grandmother, my brother, and my sister. And in 1997, we had moved to Mississippi. And so when we were in Mississippi, my life, it was just very dark, right? And so we just started going through a lot as a family. And in that time, my brother began to lash out and he began to lash out and take his frustrations out on me. And that was the first time I ever experienced a man, putting his hands on me. It was by my brother. I don't even believe I was 12 at the time when I first encountered a man putting his hands on me. And so I actually grew up from a little girl with men putting their hands on me, and me thinking like, oh, this is just how it's supposed to be, because even when my brother put his hands on me the first time, no one stopped him, right? The women, it was like, oh my God, don't put your hands on this girl, but no one actually reprimanded him for his behavior. Like, I was the one that was getting it, like, oh, you shouldn't have said this, or oh, you shouldn't have, did this, instead of, them getting him for putting his hands on me. And so I grew up like just thinking like, okay, that was how a man was supposed to treat you, because it was in my household. I never seen my mom in an abusive relationship or anything like that. But I know me personally, I have experienced that. And so I experienced that all throughout my teenage years, from my brother to my stepfather. I experienced a lot of sexual abuse, just a lot of different trauma. And I never shared anything with anybody. And I didn't share until I actually wrote my book, when God was telling me it's time for me to share my story. And so when I got with Mariah's dad, I actually that relationship was very toxic for me, right? Because here I am, 18 years old. Hurricane Katrina had just hit. Here I am, 18 years old, and I am moving into my own apartment with a man that's 26 years old, right? And at 18, you think you're grown. You think you know what you're doing, but you don't. You don't know nothing, little girl. You better sit down somewhere, okay? You just graduated high school. Well, actually, I didn't graduate high school. But that was supposed to be my senior year. But I got my GED when, but anyways, so here I am moving into this home with this man, and me and him had knew each other. We left New Orleans together. So we were together a few months before we left New Orleans, and then once the storm hit, we was together, and then we ended up getting a place together. And so we used to drink, okay? When I tell you I was 18 years old out here just cutting up, just drinking, just smoking, just being grown, right? Just doing the most. And when we would drink, sometimes we would get into it, and sometimes, we wouldn't, but we had a pretty cool relationship. And so one time we got into it so bad to where I called the police on him, right? And at this time, the police asked me, they was like, look, did you put your hands on him? And I was like, yeah, I put my hands on him. And they was like, well, we gonna take you to jail too. And I was like, you know what? Never mind. I'm like, I'm calling y'all for him, and y'all talking about, did I put my hands on him too? Of course I did. I had to defend myself. And so that right there made me realize, like, look, I ain't never calling the police no more. Cause anytime a man put their hands on me and I'm calling for them, and now you want to take me to jail for defending myself, we got a problem here, okay? And so I decided that day forward that I would no longer call the police when it came down to, my relationship. And so here I am getting pregnant with my daughter at the age of 19. Her dad was still like 26, 27, something like that. And we ended up moving back to New Orleans. And so I remember this man used to just drink so much, and it used to just get to me, y'all, like to the point to where I couldn't take it. And so one day while he was asleep, I remember just doing something that was just like, this man gonna beat me when I get up. Okay, here I am, 9 months pregnant. Listen, listen, listen. The man, I almost set the man on fire, y'all. The man was so verbally abusive, mentally abusive to me, physically abusive got before I got pregnant. But the whole pregnancy, he was very mentally abusive, very verbally abusive towards me. And I could not take it, y'all. And so one day I tried to set this man on fire in his sleep. I was just that triggered, right? Enough for me to go to jail 9 months pregnant. And it didn't stop there. I ended up having Mariah, and then we ended up moving back to Mississippi. And a long story short, one day I went out because I was like, I'm not about to stay home with, you and deal with all of this stuff that you're doing. Like, the man used to just drink so much. He would pass out drunk. Like he would talk to me crazy. He would, fight me. He would just do the most. And I got tired of it. So one night I was like, look, I'm about to sleep out. I don't care about the consequences. I deal with that another day. And so the next morning I come home and he's waiting on me, right? And I come through the door and I just see the look in his eyes, and it was just like, I'm about to get it. And so I just kept walking. I went and I picked up my daughter. My daughter was 2 years old at the time, and I picked her up. This man comes in the room and he says something to me. And I did not answer him at the time. And so next thing you know, he rears back and he punches me in my eye. And before you know it, I have my daughter in my arms, y'all. And this man is hitting me. And when I got up, I looked in the mirror and I had two black eyes. And I said to myself, this is not love. This is not love. Like, if I have to be in this relationship with this man and I have a child with him and he's beating me, and not only, I'm hitting him back, but he's beating me to hurt me, to leave marks and to leave bruises. And, I have to cover myself with makeup just to where I could go to work. This is not love, right? I'm like, I gotta get out of this. I gotta get out of this. And it took me a while to get out of that, y'all. Like my mom, she came over one day and she looked at me. She was like, let me see your face. And she looked at me and she was like, what? And my mom lost it. My mom lost it. Because my mama didn't go for that kind of stuff. Like, nobody putting their hands on you and stuff like that. But my mom lost it. But in that moment, I love this man, right? I love this man, and I had a baby with him. And I didn't want, to raise my daughter alone. And another thing he will always tell me is like, you got a baby with me. Ain't no man gonna ever love you. Ain't nobody gonna ever take care of my child. And don't nobody want you. You're fat, you're ugly. Just all of these different things that he would tell me, just to break me down, right? Like I was so broken. I was so hurt. I didn't grow up with a dad in the household. And all of the men that I encountered had always, beat me and things like that. And so now when I got in a relationship with somebody that was supposed to love me, that he did the same thing, right? This man did the same thing. This man was physically abusive, verbally abusive, just everything. And he tore me down, y'all. When I tell you this man tore me down. And so there was times when I just couldn't take it. And the type of person he is, like, I'm not like, he was a good person sober. He was a good person sober. But the thing about it, he was more drunk than he was sober. He got drunk way more than he stayed sober. So it doesn't, balance itself out. And I just told myself one day, I was like, I do not want to raise my daughter like this. I do not want my daughter to see her mom with someone that claims that they love her, but they're beating on her. I don't want my daughter to see, me with somebody and, they can't stay sober. They have to have a drink every day, all day. Like, I don't want to be in this. I can't live like this anymore. And so one day I looked at my daughter and I just was like, I'm doing this for us. And I left. I left. I left, y'all. I chose me. I left. I said, I'm not doing this anymore. I said, I don't care. When I tell you the man, I had a phone in his name and everything. The man would, uh, you know, the man would do some crazy stuff, y'all. The man would turn my phone off. Like, just so much stuff to where if I would have stayed with that man, I would know I would be in jail, y'all. I would. I would. And so when it comes down to other women, I want to encourage you guys, to know that you are worthy and you don't have to stay in toxic, abusive relationships, because there are women that are just like me, they have left as well. They chose them. They decided that, look, I don't want to live like this. I don't want my children to live like this. I want more. I want better. Like, even if I got to be by myself, I want more and I want better. When I tell you I got out of that relationship and I got into another relationship, and this guy, this man right here, he was a sweetheart, and he was a sweetheart. He never ever put his hands on me. He never you know, talk to me crazy or anything like that, but things did not work out with him. But now I am with my husband, and I just thank God for the man that he is. He's a stand-up man. Like, this man takes great care of me and my girls. He's never ever put his hands on me. He's never ever disrespected me. He's never ever told me, anything to tear me down. This man has always just been there to pick me up and to uplift me and empower me as a woman. And that's what men are supposed to do. That's what we're supposed to do as women. Like, we're supposed to pour into our kings, our husbands, our spouses, but they're supposed to do the same things as well. And so you don't have to stay in a relationship where men do not value and honor you and respect you. You have to love yourself more to say, you know what, I'm getting up out of this thing. I don't want to live like this no more. I love me more. Because when you begin to allow that, the things that are attached to that, the shame, the humiliation, just the trauma that is attached to that, you have to deal with that stuff, right? I found myself 2 years ago. I've been in therapy for about 4 years now, off and on, but for the past year I've been very consistent. But I found myself 2 years ago having to go through deliverance and an inner healing session with a professional licensed therapist and deliverance minister, in order to, get inner healing, because I was so broken, and I was very broken, and my soul was very fragmented because of the past trauma that I had went through, and I had brought all of that stuff into my now relationship, my now marriage. And it took for me to go to a therapist, for me to go and get inner healing, for me to be able to be free. Because sometimes there are some wounds that are so deep, like you just can't mask it. You have to deal with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I had to do. I had to really work out my soul salvation, really work out my traumas, my triggers and things like that. And so now, even when he'll call, because at first if he would call anything, like, I would get triggered. I would want to fight. I would want to go grab my pop, and just whatever. The man could say, hey, and I would just flip off. But I realized that I was not whole, and I needed some healing. And so I had to go and get in therapy and really begin to work out my issues and my traumas. And I find that a lot of women, instead of taking the time to work on themselves, they do like me. They get out of this relationship, and then they get into the next one, and then they get into the next one, and they really don't take the time to work out their stuff. And so now the person that God has sent to them, the person that you pray for, the person that you really want and desire, and they really want you, now you're bringing all of this trauma and this baggage into this relationship, and this person over here ain't got nothing going on. Here you are with all these issues and stuff. Like, for real, that's how I was, y'all. Just bringing all my drama, all my pain and trauma and stuff. But I thank God for the man that he is, because he's been here with me through it all. And sometimes it takes for us to really go deeper to really find our healing. Like, we need assistance sometimes. That's why they have therapists. That's why they have healing ministers and deliverance ministers and things like that. And when I tell you, I needed all three: healing, deliverance, and a therapist. and Jesus. I needed it all. I needed it all, and I thank God that I still go to therapy every day, because one thing about it, when you allow, like, me and this man was in a relationship for 5 years, and so for like 4 years, every day, every other day, there wasn't like a day where we did not fight or argue, or he planted these seeds in my head that I was worthless, and that nobody would love me, and just all of the different things that he would say. And so it was so deep to where I needed to go and get help for it, because here I am, this man I'm with now would tell me something, and then I'd be triggered, and I'm going off on him, telling him stuff, and it's like, calm down, I just asked you, what kind of cereal you want. But the way he said it reminded me of my ex, and now I'm flipping out, like I needed some real healing. And so I want to encourage you ladies, to just get the healing that you need, and to also know that there is more. You don't have to stay in these toxic relationships. You don't have to feel as if you're going to be alone for the rest of your life. If you want to be by yourself, you can be by yourself. But if not, like, and even with that, stop having sex with all these different people until you marry. Like, wait till you get married, because if not, only thing you're forming is an ungodly soul tie, and now you gotta break that thing. You gotta break it, because if not, it's gonna, every relationship you get into, you're gonna be bringing all of this stuff with you into the next relationship. So you gotta break these ungodly soul ties. You shouldn't even be sleeping with nobody until you get married anyway. But that's another topic for another day. But if you ladies are out there, I wanted to share my domestic violence story with you guys, to know that you are worthy, you are chosen, you are special. God loves you. I love you. Choose you. Choose you. Do it for you. Do it for your children. Don't stay in these toxic relationships where these men are, where they're not treating you right, where they're not loving on you correctly, and they're just not obeying the order of God. There is a order. I know today's society, they don't believe in the order of God. They don't believe in the family design that God created, but I do. And when I tell you, when you follow God's way, it is a blessing. It is a blessing to your life. And so I pray that my domestic violence story, I pray that y'all heard it. You know, um, it takes a lot to come on here and share these parts of my past that may be painful for me. It takes a lot of courage to come on and share those things. And so I pray that whoever hears this, just know that you're not in it by yourself. I have been where you are, and God has delivered me from that place, and He could do the same thing for you. If only you trust, you believe, and you have a relationship with Him. Like, for real. Have a relationship with God. Trust Him and believe Him to do exactly what He said He's going to do on your behalf, and watch it work out. And so, if anybody, look, if y'all need to get out, just get out. Get out. Choose you. Choose you. So I love you guys. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to this week's episode, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye bye.